Now all the last ones in that sheet dealt with factoring and all different kinds of factoring. It was all of the factoring ones. So you'll notice that these three are your basic types, basically the ones that are giving you the rules. So this one has a square minus a square, and that's called the difference of squares. So when you have the difference of squares, you're going to factor it out. On the front, you need the two things that make a squared. So that's a times a. And on the back, you need the two things that make b squared. So that's b times b. And since it ends with a negative, one is positive and one is negative. And that's how the difference of squares would go. But what you see about these bottom ones is that they are cubes. Okay? Now, squares can only factor if it's a minus, but cubes can factor if it's a plus or a minus. I have a silly little way that I remember it. So here's how I teach this usually. When you break these up, cubes, it breaks into a family of 2 and a family of 3. So the way that you deal with your signs is we call it SOP. So SOP stands for same sign as this one. So same sign, opposite sign, plus. And then your signs are done for the whole problem. So that's how it's going to start. The second thing that you're going to do is fill in this first set of parentheses. And basically, you decide what cubed would be a cubed. So that's a, because a cubed is a cubed. And what cubed would give me b cubed? Well, that would be b. Okay, and so that's your second step to decide what goes in the front. And your last step is to decide what goes in the back. And the way that you decide what goes in the back is you square the first. Always jump to the back, square the last. And in the middle, you're going to multiply together. Okay, so when I mean first, I'm going with this purple number here. I'm going to square this number right here. So when I square that number, I'm going to get a squared. Well, then I'm going to square this number, b squared. And then I'm going to multiply these two right here together, ab. That's how it works. Now it's going to work like this whether it is a minus or a plus. So let's look at this one. When I start this one, I'm going to say same, opposite, plus. So here's my sign right here. Here's the same sign. Here's the opposite sign. And here is plus. What cubed gives me a cubed? A. What cubed gives me b cubed? B. Okay, here's the first. I'm going to square it. Here's the last. I'm going to square it. And I'm going to multiply these two together. But I don't worry about the signs because remember I did the signs in the beginning. So I'm just going to say a times b. Now those are the rules. Let's work a few. So when I look at this first one, I have to decide, first of all, it has two terms. And if one of your problems has two terms, it's either going to be a common factor, a greatest common factor, or it's going to be squares, or it's going to be cubes. That's how all the two terms will look. So what I'm going to look for first is to see if these have any common factors. Well, 36 and 64 do have a common factor because 4 goes into both of them. So I'm going to take out a 4. And when I do that, that leaves me with 9, because 4 times 9 is 36. 9x squared, and 4 times 16, y squared. Okay, so 4 was my greatest common factor, so I just factored it out of both. Now then, when I look at what's left, I have squares. The square that makes 9 would be 3, and the square that makes x squared would be x. So that's 3x times 3x. And the square that makes 16 is 4, and the square that makes y squared is y. So that's 4y times 4y. and one is positive, and one is negative. When I look at this second one, I recognize it to be cubes because 64 is a cubed and m cubed is a cube. So remember cubes, I'm going to start with SOP. Same sign as this one. Same sign, opposite sign, plus. Okay, the number cubed that makes m cubed would be m, and the number that cubed that makes 64 would be 4. So that's my second step. So then remember, you square the first. So here's my first right here. I'm going to square it. I'm going to square the back. And then I'm going to multiply these two together. That's how it looks. All right, looking at this next one, they have something in common because they both have a K. And also 3 goes into both of them. So I'm going to take a 3 and a K out of every one of these. Well, 3 times 27 would give me 81. And I need 4 Ks. Well, I have 1. So that means I need 3 more Ks minus. And you'll say, well, I took out all the 3 Ks. Well, I did, but you still have to have a placeholder. So 3K times 1 would give me 3K. Now, once I look at this, I recognize that this second family over here, those are cubes. So this is going to factor one more time. So since these are cubes, I'm just going to bring this part down. I'm done with that. But I'm going to have a family here. Same sign, opposite sign, plus. Here's my sign. So it would be same, opposite, plus. Okay, the value cubed that makes 27 would be 3. And the value cubed that makes k cubed would be k. And the value cubed that makes 1 cubed would be 1. Okay, so getting the second, remember you're going to square this one. So 3 squared, k squared. You're also going to square this one, 1 squared. And then you're going to multiply those two values together. 3k times 1 would give me 3k. So this whole thing right here would be your answer. Okay, looking at this next one, both of these have a common factor. So like in this first one, I see that everything has a 2 because they're all even. Everything has 1x. And the way you look at variables is you say, do they both have an x? Yes. What's the smaller one? X to the 1. Do they both have a y? Yes. What's the smaller one? 2. Okay, so that's my greatest common factor, and I'm going to factor it out. So I took out a 2, and I took out an x, and I took out 2 y's. So that's going to leave me with 3 y's left over to make 5. Okay, so I took out the 2. So 2 times what would give me 250? That would be 125. And I took out the x and I took out the y's. So that's what's left for that one. So this is my greatest common factor. And I see what's left over here is going to be cubes. So we start with SOP. Same sign as this one. Opposite, plus. The cube that makes y cubed would be y, and 5 cubed is 125. Okay, here's the first, square the first. Here's the second, square the back, and then multiply these two together. And that's how that one would look. Let me flip through for a second. Okay, so all of those had 2 terms. So remember earlier I talked to you about 2 terms. 2 terms were greatest common factors, squares, or cubes. So what I mean by 2 terms is this had 2 terms. So anytime you had 2 terms, it had to be one of these 3 types, greatest common factor, squares, or cubes. But now everything else on the sheet had 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, except that last one, it had 4 terms. So I'll do that in the next video.